In today's speech, I'll be persuading you on why you shouldn't be obsessed over your social media influencer. According to Stylecaster, in an article titled, "The More We Spend on Social Media, the More We Hate Our Bodies," by Leah Bourne, she stated that out of 1,000 women polled, 64% said that looking at photos of women online on networking sites such as Facebook and Instagram is what made them feel worse about their shape, as well as saying that 80% of women overall are unsatisfied with their appearance. In this speech, I will be telling you why it's more beneficial to be your own kind of beautiful than to strive to be like someone you saw on Instagram. First, we will be going over how social media actually impacts your mental health. Then we will move on to how striving for something unrealistic can lead to bad health conditions. Lastly, we will go over how social media influencers are actually deceiving you. First, we will talk about how social media affects your mental health. We found that teens who spent 5 or more hours a day online were 71% more likely than those who spent an hour a day to have at least one suicide risk factor, whether it be depression, thinking about suicide, making a suicide plan, or attempting suicide. Overall, suicide factors rose significantly after 2 or more hours a day of online time. This was a quote written by Twin. She wrote in 2017 for Neat Today in an article titled "Social Media's Impact on Students." Unfortunately, we can see a direct correlation between social media and depression. Some reasons that could play a role here is cyberbullying, lack of face-to-face communication, and people comparing themselves to others. Secondly, we can see how striving for unrealistic goals can lead to physical health problems. A 2011 study from the University of Haifa examined 248 young women from the ages of 12 to 19 and found that more exposure to social media contributed to higher rates of eating disorders and related concerns. Specifically, the more time these young women spent on Facebook, the more likely they were to struggle with bulimia, anorexia, physical dissatisfaction, negative physical self-image, and negative approach to eating, as well as more of an urge to be on a weight loss diet. This quote was stated in 2016 in an article titled, "Does Social Media Cause Eating Disorder in Children?" by Courtney Howard. This shows that turning it into realistic body images does harm to one's physical health, leading them to be uncomfortable in one's own skin. Lastly, we will go over how social media's influencers are deceiving you. As you could imagine, in this line of work, the better you look, the better your business is. So to that end, even fitness models can have some crafty tricks to make themselves look as ripped and toned as possible. Some would say it creates an unrealistic body type. This was created by Annie Huell in an article titled "Fitness Model Reveals and the Deception Side of Instagram" in 2014. From this, we can see that these fitness models are trying to make sure that you buy into what they're selling, whether it be from a fitness app to a clothing line. To do this, they have to make sure that they look as credible as possible that they can to you. So to do this, they Photoshop their photos. They spend tons of times picking a pose, finding the right lighting, and the right angle for a photo to be taken. So now we have gone over how social media affects your mental health, and then moved on to talk about how social media could hurt your physical health. And lastly, we went over how social media influencers aren't always as they seem. Going back to my attention gear, we can see that out of the 80% of all women that are unhappy with their body image, only leaves 16% of women that says social media is not a contributor to this, leaving 64% of the women unhappy due to social media. I leave you with this. Why not make a change and put the social media away and focus on your beauty instead of striving for something else that isn't even real?